from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio. It's the Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. So it's a free call anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. Talking about your life, your job, your career, your money, your relationships, anything and everything. We are here for you. And I am Ramsey personality Rachel Cruz, hosting today with best-selling author and Ramsey personality Christina Ellis.
Yay! I'm so excited to be with you.
I don't know, we've done a full show.
We haven't. It's our first time.
With 2 ladies in a while since Christy has left. Christy Wright, who we miss so deeply. But so it's fun to have another lady next to me. So
have the girl vibes. I love it.
Yeah. and obviously we bring kind of a unique take because of that. So if you are a mom out there with questions about kids or jobs or childcare, anything around balancing life and kids, Christine and I are in the thick of it.
Yeah.
I have 3 little ones, 7 and under, and you have 2.
I have 2, 1 and 4 years old.
1 and 4 years old.
We're in the thick of it.
We're barely surviving here. Let's just say that. If we make it through 3 hours, like with trains of thought, you should just be proud of America. Let's be honest. It's a lot. It's a lot. But again, we're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Okay, we're going to start out with Daniel in Miami. Hey, Daniel. Welcome to the show.
Hi. How's it going, ladies?
Doing great. How can we help?
So I had a question. I'm 22 years old, looking to go into a graduate program in the next year to 2 years, and I have a pretty good credit score right now. And since I would have to take significant student loans out for the programs I'm thinking of, would it be wise to go ahead and pay off all my credit cards and lose my credit score, knowing that I'm going to have to apply for student loans soon?
Well, Daniel, I'll be honest with you. You called the Ramsey Show, so we're not going to be the ones to advise the latter part of your question of taking out a lot of loans for grad school. And actually, Christina talks so much about scholarships, grants, and going to school debt-free, so I'll let her jump in here in just a second. So to answer your question, yes, if you pay off all of your debt and you don't have any debt, it takes about anywhere from 9 to 18 months for your credit score. It's going to keep going down until it hits undetermined, because the way your credit score is mathematically calculated is all around debt. And if you don't have debt, they can't calculate a score. So my stance is that the indication that you are winning with money is not an indication of the credit score and how high it is and what you do with it. It's a non-negotiable for me just to not even think about it and worry about it, because being out of debt is the first priority. So Christina, jump in here and talk to Daniel, because grad school, it's a real thing. Because if you have a want, or even college degree, right, undergrad even, a lot of people listening, it's a dream of theirs or for their kids, and they feel like the only way they can do this is through student loans.
Yeah, and we hear so many stories where people are coming in with student loans and grad school is largely responsible for the massive debt. So it is really important to kind of talk through, especially with grad school, because I feel like it's such a vulnerable space for people to go into debt. Daniel, what are you thinking about doing in grad school?
So it would either be medical school or pharmacy school.
Okay, and what's your undergrad degree in?
It's in biology.
Okay. Well, we talk to a lot of people. I feel like medical school is kind of the hard question we get a lot of times, where it's a little bit harder to pay for med school debt free, but we do have a lot of people who come through here who do it. You just have to be really strategic. So I would encourage you to kind of slow down a little bit and really think through and do the research on what are your options out there. We often talk about the PhD program, which is a great option for going debt-free. It's pretty competitive, which is often kind of the flip side of that. But there's also other options. You could potentially, go into the military and go that route. I know that's a big decision. You could go to a cheaper school. You could slow the pace down a little bit and pay as you go, which I know is challenging, but I would encourage you to kind of explore other options. I can kind of hear in your voice that the assumption is that you have to go into debt, and that's kind of been your journey so far. But just even today, if you can take a pause and think through what would it look like for me to go debt free, and see if you can shift your mind to even consider the possibility of everything you do moving forward when it comes to college is going to be done without debt.
And what's amazing with that, Christina, is, and again, it's a total mindset shift, right? Because you said, it is people just kind of yield into higher education with loans. That's the pathway you go, and there's no other options. And so when you just have this absolute in your mind that we're absolutely not going into debt for this, But that's not an option. So now what do I do? What are my other options?
Right.
Because people will back you in the corner and say, well, I either have to take out loans or I can't go. I'm like, no, there's options B, C, D, E over here if you look, but people don't take the time and the energy to look at all those other options because it is easy.
Yeah.
To sign a student loan, to put your name, put a signature down and worry about that later when you feel like, oh, we're going to be making good money and it's all justified in your head.
Well, and especially with med school, I feel like that's kind of the spot that gets really overwhelming because you see all these doctors with huge student loan debts. And that's the thing is we interviewed somebody in our documentary, Borrowed Future, where they had $1 million in student loan debt. So it's like, yes, they got a med degree. Yes, I'm sure they're happy to be a doctor ultimately, but they're literally crying in the documentary because they have crippling amounts of debt. So med school, it's great.
Right.
But if it's going to equal an extremely stressful long-term outcome, I mean, even pumping the brakes on that and kind of going, is med school right for me? If it's going to cost a lot of debt, maybe I could be a nurse practitioner. Maybe there's another option in a medical sphere that I want to do debt-free.
Yes. And just to even just harp on that too, Christina, because I'm like, when you don't have debt and you're debt-free, or you choose to live a life without debt, there are so many options out there to look at. And when you think about debt, it's like, this is my one way. It's a one-way tunnel. And the outcome is usually what we end up seeing on this show often is not good. Like that one-way tunnel usually ends up being a lot of stress. Dr. John Deloney even talks about it, like your body, that book, Your Body Keeps the Score. The amount of stress that you harbor and like the amount of anxiety and consumer debt the graph has been consistent year after year after year, which is fascinating. But what it does to your relationships, your mind, just the ability to have something clear because you don't owe anyone anything, if that makes sense. So, So options give you power. They give you power. Either options of choosing not to take on student loans and look at other options. And then again, when you don't have debt, you have the freedom to make decisions. You're not stuck in a job you hate to pay bills. You're not stuck in this life. There really is this level of freedom where you're like, I can have creativity and think through what do I want to do because I don't owe anyone anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good feeling. And I think that there's also this myth around higher education that like, I'm going to get this great income. So no matter how much debt I have to take out, it's going to all pay off and I'm going to have this great job and this great paying degree. I mean, I even heard that whenever I was visiting schools. They're like, this is how much it's going to cost, but don't worry. Like you're going to have the great job afterwards and you're going to be able to pay for it. It's no big deal. And so that's not true. Like we've seen people with great jobs with student loans that are still struggling and feel like they're suffocating.
That's right.
Just kind of separating that out and being like, even though you may get a great salary, debt can still be very stressful and suffocating.
Very much so. Very much so. I'm Rachel Cruz, Christina Ellis hosting today with me at 888-825-5225. Give us a call. We are answering your questions. This is The Ramsey Show.
If you're looking for ways to update your home without blowing the budget, I've got it. For years, I've been telling you about our friends at Blinds.com. Blinds.com makes it simple to shop top quality blinds, shades, and interior shutters from home with easy online ordering and free shipping. With Blinds.com, there's no need to renovate your entire home. Just change out what's on your windows with upscale choices like faux wood blinds, cellular, and roller shades, or even outdoor shades. Plus, Blinds.com guarantees the perfect fit, whether you do it yourself or you have them measure and install everything for you. Shop their latest looks and see how much you can save at Blinds.com today. The easy and affordable way to make your home more beautiful is Blinds.com.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm Ramsey personality Rachel Cruz, hosting today with Ramsey personality and best-selling author Christina Ellis. And we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. And we're answering anything and everything. So whether it's your career, your money, your relationships, your life, give us a call and we'll chat about it. Have a conversation, hopefully help guide you with any question that you have in your life. So again, give us a call, 888-825-5225. And we have a full lobby today, Christina,
Yes.
out of the glass right there. A bunch of people came in, and your husband.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw him back there. Okay,
Biggest
so fun.
fan.
Love it. So fun. But just a reminder that you can visit us here right outside of Nashville in Franklin, Tennessee at Ramsey headquarters, and you can get cookies, you can get coffee, cappuccinos, lattes, Americanos. They have all the fancy stuff, Christina.
They do.
And I just found out like 2 weeks ago you get a free coffee mug.
I just found that out too.
Yeah, so make sure you get your free coffee mug, everyone out there in the lobby. So that's a fun gift. So yeah, be sure to come and visit us live. And then, of course, the debt-free stage is here where we get to take calls live all the time of families and people that pay off all of their debts. All right, up next, let's go to John Carlo in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Hi, John Carlo. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you ladies doing?
We're doing great. How are you doing in Puerto Rico? We don't have many
good.
international calls, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm calling because I have a potential job opportunity coming up towards the end of the year over in the States. And then, like, my current situation is I have around $24K in debt, but the huge majority of that is on the car. 18,000 of those is in the car. And I'm currently working on getting current in all of my bills, which I should be done with within the next month. Now, my question is, during the month of November and December, should I save up and plan just in case this move does happen? And then if it falls through, I just dump that into baby step number 2? Or should I continue with the baby steps and only start saving up if the opportunity comes up?
So if the opportunity comes up, would you be moving in January?
I will be moving somewhere around that time frame, yes.
Around that
the
time frame.
process should be around 6 weeks, yeah.
Okay, so it'll be a pretty quick turnaround for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any other money saved besides baby step 1?
No, I do not.
Okay. No, that's great. I mean, honestly, John Carlo, we tell people to pause baby step 2 with very small circumstances in a sense, like not a lot of times do we say to pause it. So big life change though is always a little bit of an asterisk. So, if you're expecting a baby, for anyone listening, we always say during pregnancy to pause baby step 2, pile up some money, make sure everything's good. Even if you have to replace a car because maybe you sold your car and you're having to get a new one to get through the debt snowball quickly, we say you can pause for a short period of time to save up to move on to that. And then another one in this category, John Carlo, as I would say, if you have a big transition, like a move coming and it's there and you don't have the funds to be able to do that properly, but like you said, that there's a good chance it's going to happen. I would be okay with you pausing baby step 2 for 60 days and see what happens in January. And just like you said, you're still gazelle intense, right? You're still sacrificing, you're putting money aside, but you're putting cash aside. So if that move happens, you can do that debt free and move. But if it doesn't, then just like you said, throw it at baby step 2, and which will be a great motivator still. So not losing the motivation of it, but where the funds are specifically going. I'm okay if you pause that for 60 days and wait to see if this moves, because I want you to have some cash on hand if that's the case.
Yeah, that's great. It's always good to have that extra cushion when you're making that big change. I am kind of curious too, where are you guys at in the negotiation process? Have you all talked about the possibility of relocation expenses? Because with such a big move, there's a chance the company could offer some help in that transition.
Yeah, so they did say that there was some relocation help, but I do not know the details. But the main reason why we didn't go through with it at the moment was because of what I guys told you. I'm currently trying to catch up on current, and I was explaining my situation. So what they said is, hey, they're pretty much going to give me these couple of months to see, and then they're going to touch base with me in December to see how I'm doing and see if I get all of that sorted out. Because by the time that I have this call, I needed to catch up in around 1.5K in bills. So by the time that they call, I should be already caught up and comfortable.
Yeah, and that's great, because that's what we encourage you to do even before you start paying extra on your debt, is you want to get current on all of your bills. So that's going to be number one, regardless of move or not, right? That you're going to be catching up and be caught up on all your bills. And then beyond that is saving that money. So what kind of job are you looking at?
So I'm looking at a sales job. I'm looking at a sales job. The main reason why I'm thinking of a career change is because I've been working as a server, and, for me, it's been going great for the past 2 to 3 years. My average income has been anywhere between 3 to 4K, and as a 25-year-old in Puerto Rico, where the minimum wage is $8.50 an hour, it's great. But there's also the potential chance that around that same time, me and my girlfriend might get engaged. We're about to start going for premarital counseling, and if that's the case, I'm thinking of I want to start switching to something that can be a career, thinking of growth for my family specifically.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. That's very exciting. You have a lot of things in flight, it sounds like, John Carlo.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, awesome. Thanks for giving us a call. But that's exactly what I would do. Make sure you're caught up. And obviously, I think the company wants to make sure that you're in a stable place financially, especially if you're going to be in sales and very high commission. They probably want to make sure you're okay and you're not going to be drowning in payments and in bills.
It's awesome that you're doing all this too before you get married. Like the fact that you're taking the time now, getting caught up, wanting to pay off your debt, wanting to figure out this career stuff. That's just going to build such a foundation for your marriage. So good job on, really digging into this and getting intentional right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the call. All right, up next we have Dave in Cleveland. Hey, Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How can we help?
Just have a question about a way that I should proceed with an investment that I have in terms of a house. I have a house in another state. I'm currently living in Cleveland. Do have a mortgage on this property. It's about $345K right now. And the other house is it's going to be paid off in about 5 years. We ended up renting that out. We moved just about 2 years ago. So obviously it has appreciated in value significantly. About 65 left on it, and I'm guessing it's probably ballpark maybe worth about 400 right now. And my question is, with how the stock market has declined so significantly, I kind of expect that over the next couple of years to recoup, and would like to consider selling the other house and putting the money into some mutual funds that may increase more than the rental that I could get out of the house.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I love real estate. I come from a family that loves real estate, so I'm not against rental properties. The only thing I don't care about this situation is that you're a long-distance landlord. Is that correct?
Yes, I have someone essentially managing the property.
Yeah. Yes. So just owning a second property with a second mortgage is kind of we don't care for that. And being out of state or far away, a long distance situation, it just makes things more complicated when you can't have your own eyes on the property. So yes, Dave, if I were you, regardless of the stock market or not, I would still advise you to sell the rental. I mean, it's done great in equity. If you get 400 out of, that's incredible. But what I honestly would do next is I would take some of it, I would invest some of it, 15%, and then I would throw the rest at your house. Do you have any other consumer debt?
I do not have any other debt than the two mortgages right now.
That's perfect. Well,
and another reason I was sort of thinking about selling it was I'd save quite a bit of money, I do believe, in taxes, because I've lived in it recently enough to not have to pay the capital gain. So
yes. That's correct. Yep, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I would sell it, and I would throw some into the market, 15%, and then the rest I'd throw at your mortgage and go ahead and pay off your primary mortgage. This is The Ramsey Show.
Life is full of firsts. As As the first and longest-serving Christian health cost-sharing ministry, CHM has shared medical expenses for its members since 1981. We believe you should have the freedom to focus on your health while being supported by a community of believers, giving you the opportunity to create many more firsts.
So in the news, you mostly are hearing about the market, the stock market, and just the ups and the downs that we've experienced with that. And what you're not hearing as much about is the real estate market. 6 months, even a year ago, people thought it's going to be the biggest bubble and it's going to crash. And as we all are experiencing, it is not going to crash. As a reminder, this is not 2008. We are in a completely different type of economy at this point when it comes to real estate. There are still more houses out there, or not as many houses, half as many homes out there than there are buyers still right now in fall of 2022. And prices, everything has softened for sure. It's a slower rate. We have all felt that. But the truth is, when you're ready to buy a house, it's when you're ready, not when the market says you are ready. And so you can still win in the real estate market today. So if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, it is still a great chance to get in the market. And one thing that you want to make sure that you do is that you win when it comes to your real estate agent. You want someone with experience, someone knows what they're doing. And so here at Ramsey, we have actually vetted a lot of the local agents in your area to find the ones that are top notch and that we recommend here at Ramsey Solutions. So if you want to connect with a Ramsey trusted agent for free, go to ramseysolutions.com/agent and check out our endorsed local providers program. Again, that's ramseysolutions.com/agents.
It really does make such a big difference to have a great agent. We actually sold our house in May with a Ramsey ELP, and they got the highest price per square footage in our whole area.
Oh, wow.
I was very excited about that.
Well, and I feel like, too, people appreciate really, really good agents these days, I think, because it is such a, competitive market where it was easy to kind of slip into the whole, well, I'll just use my grandmother's friends, granddaughters, cousins, dog walker, and they're a real estate agent. And so I hear they're great and we're going to use them, right? Like people fell into that so often, but this is most people's largest financial purchase that they make in a lifetime. I mean, it is a big deal when you enter into buying a house or selling a house. So having someone that knows what they're doing is so, so important.
It's a game changer.
For sure. All right, I'm Rachel Cruz with Christina Ellis hosting The Ramsey Show today. So give us a call at 888-825-5225. We are taking your calls on life and money. Up next, we have Tom in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rachel and Christina. How are you?
We're doing well. Thanks for calling. How can we help?
Super. I am getting a little bit ahead of myself because I'm not quite through with the debt snowball yet, but I'm just a couple months away finally, so I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And in that, I'm so excited to use my money for something other than paying off debt. So I'm mapping out, the emergency fund, the investing, and all that kind of thing. That's where my question comes from.
Okay.
It's very exciting.
So when I get to that point, I'm hoping to be there after the first of the year. Do I start investing at the same time as well as planning for like 529s for the children and things like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we actually want you to have a fully funded emergency fund first. So how quickly do you think you'll get 3 to 6 months of expenses saved?
Well, with no debt, I'm hoping within 3 months.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, so once that's completed, then I would recommend taking 15% of your income and setting up a plan to invest in retirement. And so you can, if you have a 401k at your work or a 403b, a Roth IRA, and just hitting that 15% of your take-home pay with that. And then the next step would be, yes, looking at kids' colleges. So how old are your kids?
8, 10, and 12.
Awesome. Yes, so that would be sitting down and starting to plan for college.
Yeah, and I love that you're already feeling so much drive around that. I feel like that is kind of like seeing that light at the end of the tunnel is just so exciting. And I know I kind of heard like a sigh when we talked about the emergency fund, but you're almost through that. That is just awesome. And as somebody, too, who focuses on the college space, I would encourage you to obviously do 529, start saving money for college, but also start having the conversations with them about what finances will look like with college. Talk to them about money, help them have good money habits, and get them prepared to win scholarships. Because, I mean, that's one of the biggest keys to success. A lot of people wait to the last minute to talk to their kids about money, and then they have no concept about what that's going to look like for college. And that's how we ended up in a student loan crisis. But if you start prepping them early, they're probably going to build a resume that's a lot more likely to stand out for scholarships. So just having those conversations in multiple directions could be really helpful.
Financial Peace Junior is on its way, so that's exciting.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
With a little more detail with that question about the 529s, if you could please, do I do 3 separate or do I do 1 and change the beneficiary?
No, I would do 3
needed.
separate. Yeah, I would put 1. Have each child have their own. I was actually Winston and I a few years ago when we were sitting down with our SmartVestor Pro, actually our investing professional that we sit with once a year. We were talking about kids' college, and Tom, I kind of threw that out there. I was like, gosh, because what if one doesn't go to college, right? Like all these questions come up, and is it smarter to have it in one? And they were still recommending no, have it in each because it's in each of their names, and if something happens, that they still have their own account there for them that they can take, and then you can even pass down generationally, right, which they can do for their own kids.
Yeah, and that's the good news is it's like if you save a little bit more for your 12-year-old and your 12-year-old ends up getting scholarships and doesn't need as much, you can pass that on to your 10-year-old, and same with the 10-year-old to the 8-year-old. So definitely.
And then beyond that, right?
Yeah.
Isn't there, yes, even multiple.
And if you want to go back to school, you can even use it for your own education. Like it can be shared within the family.
Yes, which is awesome. But yeah, thanks for the call, Tom. All right, next up we have Michael in Durham, North Carolina. Hey, Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
All right, so I'm 20 years old. I am working full-time. I moved out of my parents' house, and I'm kind of thinking about going back to college. I tried going to college right out of high school and didn't really work out for me. I just kind of spoofed off the classes and wasn't paying attention, and I'm kind of considering going back for software engineering, and I'm just not sure if that's a good idea or not. So I'm working full-time as a fiber engineer with AT&T over here in RTP.
Awesome.
I'm making about $4,000 after taxes every month, and there is room for growth here, but most of my coworkers and the people who have more experience, they all have college degrees, and they are offering a reimbursement program for me to go back to school.
Oh, amazing.
And I'm just not sure if I can juggle working full-time and going back to college. So I was just wondering what y'all's insight was on that.
Now, if you go back to college, are you strictly considering a 4-year degree, or are you open to maybe some sort of...
I would go to a community college here, which would keep the cost down, and probably just start doing part-time classes, see how that goes, and then maybe ramp up the classes a little bit more if I can handle that and if I'm comfortable with it. So that's kind of what I was thinking about doing, but I wanted to run it by you. So.
Tell me a little bit more about your motivation for going back. Obviously, there's the income factor, but you talked about how you went to college before and kind of, didn't continue on with it. Are you feeling pretty excited about going back right now?
Yeah, I am. I have 2 older siblings who both went to school for IT, and
they're probably doing great.
They did well.
I was going to say, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to just say, I bet they're doing well.
Yeah, they are, and they really enjoy it, and I feel like I've always enjoyed working with computers, and I really just want to get back into school, but I don't want to give up my job at the same time, or maybe not give 100% to both of those things, because I need my job to pay for my rent and my bills. I have $1,000 saved up, and I'm working on my emergency fund.
Awesome, Michael. Well, that's incredible. So yeah, if I were you, I think definitely taking some classes.
Yeah, I mean, if it's paid for as well.
Online and at night. Take your time. You're 20 years old. Even if it takes you an extra year to do it, in 3 years you could have a degree, be making a great income, because that is a great field of study to go into. And if you want to check out Ken Coleman's Get Clear assessments, if you hold on the line, Austin will pick up and give you an access code to that, because that could also help you kind of guide you even more specifically on what you want to do. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I am Rachel Cruz, hosting today with Christina Ellis and taking your calls. So up next, we have Heather in Denver. Hey, Heather, welcome to the show.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
So my question is, so I'm currently on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at a rate of 2.625%. After getting connected with Dave, we're trying to pay that off early, and our goal is to put an extra $12,000 towards that mortgage a year. We were talking to a financial advisor who brought up putting that extra $12,000 into a brokerage account with the goal of paying the mortgage off in 15 instead of 30. And then the interest that's earning money on the brokerage account for interest for 15 years. And then whenever we have the rest of our mortgage, or at that 15-year period, then pull out the remaining balance of our mortgage to pay it off at that point. He said because with the interest, with our mortgage interest rate being so low and the interest rates we'd get on a brokerage account, that he think we'd actually end up making out better and still being able to pay the mortgage off early. Was wondering what your guys' thoughts were on that.
Yeah, so financial advisors, they love math. So as you just threw all those numbers at me. And I would say mathematically, Heather, I get it, right? Like, I mean, we're not dumb. We see the math and we're like, okay, yeah, I understand that. But what is not factored into all of this is risk, that when you have a house payment, there's a level of debt that you carry that still has debt is risk. And so that is still there. And on top of that, you never can factor in the fact of what happens to your mental, emotional, relational space in your head when you don't owe anyone anything. And so there's this game that can be played mathematically. So whether it's what he's saying, and it's like, well, yeah, if you just put in this brokerage account, mathematically it makes more sense because you could pay it off in 15 instead of 30. Some people say, well, just invest that instead of paying off the house because you could make more in the market. Like there's all these ways around it. But honestly, Heather, after doing this stuff at Ramsey Solutions that we've been talking about for 30 plus years, we still recommend just paying it off early, throwing money at the principal extra every month, like you were saying, and watching that go down, because there's a part of the math too, or I'm sorry, a part of this equation that is so much of your behavior and the motivation of seeing it. We just did some pictures and signed books in the lobby, and we had a wonderful couple show us their picture of their house with a bunch of balloons, and they're coloring it in on all the extra payments that they're making and to pay it off. And there's like this motivation when you start to watch that go down. Yes. That again, math doesn't play into that equation, but there is something about that human spirit element that is so real, Heather. So that's where I would disagree with your financial advisor, and I would just start paying down that principal.
Yeah, it may not be as exciting to throw the money in a brokerage account while paying off your mortgage, and actually seeing that progress is awesome. With the brokerage account, it's easy to have those best laid plans and say, yeah, we're going to pay it off early through this really creative strategy or this solid strategy that mathematically makes sense. But then the opportunity to go on a trip comes up, or, some other temptation. Maybe you see a little bit more expensive of a car, and there's just other temptations that can easily kind of cut into that motivation to really knock down the house versus actually seeing the mortgage payment go away, which is pretty awesome.
Have you guys done the math, Heather, to figure out, okay, how quickly do we think we can pay this off?
Matt, well, it depends on how much money my kids continue to cost me. But hopefully over the years we
feel bad.
We can throw more and more at it. And so I'm hoping for, closer to 10 years. But currently with no math changing, I think 15 was realistic.
Okay. Yeah. And what's fascinating, Heather, do you have any other consumer debt or anything? Any other payments?
No, we've never carried debt.
Okay, that's
minus
awesome.
The mortgage.
Amazing. So yeah, that's people that are doing the Ramsey plan, where you're investing 15% of your income into retirement, kids' college, and paying off the house early. On average, we're seeing people pay off their homes in 7 to 8 years, and that's on average. We see it lower, we see it higher sometimes. So that's what also part of this factor that math on paper is showing you one number, but I'm curious once you guys get going and as life progresses, you could get a raise, bonuses, like other stuffs can start happening in your life where you can have more money to throw at the mortgage and actually accelerate you and just your motivation. So.
Yeah, and it sounds like you guys are really good at money. Like, I feel like you're the type of people that with a plan and with a very clear goal and target, like y'all are going to tackle this pretty quickly and probably be on the quicker end of that 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, we stick to our plans, and we are both very cautious with our money. But we also don't understand the financial world. So
yeah, for sure.
Makes it hard.
For sure. Well, I would recommend too, Heather, to check out our SmartVestor Pros. If you go to RamseySolutions.com and sit down with one of those financial advisors, because they teach what we teach here, and that's how to get out of debt as quickly as possible and to be able to invest well. So they're going to be able to look at your entire financial picture, even your retirement and everything. Because that's our goal for you is to get to that baby step 7 where you have no debt, no payments, and you can live like no one else and give like no one else as well. So it sounds great, Heather. You guys, like you said, Christina, motivated. You're smart. And I feel like you guys can pay this off really early, much faster than 15 years.
Yeah, and I appreciate your honesty of saying, hey, we don't know a lot about money. We don't know about finances. And it can be so tempting when somebody throws out that math to say, hey, if you do this, like you can earn this, and it's going to be really exciting because then you can do this and you can throw. It can kind of feel overwhelming. And with our principles, they're really simple. And they're not very complicated. We're just basic common sense math, but it works. Over 30 years, we've seen so many people on that stage doing debt-free screams that just went through the steps. They followed a plan. It wasn't the sexiest, flashiest, newest, hottest, like modern plan, but it's gotten grandma's way of doing finances, and it works. We see it all the time. So it's exciting seeing people, at the beginning phases of this plan, the people out in the lobby with the home chart who are filling out those bubbles and just watching that progress.
Absolutely. And there's a true, you said, grandma's ways of handling money and God's ways of handling money. When you look at even scripture, which is how we filter our lives through, when scripture says that the borrower is slave to the lender, there is a real true sense of that when you have payments, debt of any kind, the mortgage is the one type of debt we don't yell at you for. And we even say you don't have to be gazelle intense with the mortgage. We had a call yesterday and the guy's like, I want to pay off our house, but my wife says she needs a new car because she can't go in reverse. We were like, oh my gosh, get her a car. Like there's a time and a place, right, to be that intense when you're paying off your consumer debt. So again, the mortgage is the one that we will not yell at you for, but we do want you out of it as soon as possible, because if a pandemic happens, if you lose a job, like anything and everything, when you don't have that liability, when you don't have debt in your life, again, we said it earlier, but it's true. You just have options, and there's this peace of mind to be like, what do I want to do with this money? It is all mine. And that mindset, I think emotionally, spiritually, mentally, is what does not factor into formulas that people so easily can go into when it comes to money, because it's easy just to do the math. But that's a small part of it, right?
Right.
The behavior change is what is so huge.
The freedom, the feeling, the people who come across that stage who have no mortgage, the lightness they walk with is just amazing, and it's so inspiring. And it's like you can't just have that with numbers and some of this advice that keeps you in debt longer. I mean, like the 30-year mortgage at 2.65%, that feels tempting. A financial advisor might be like, hey, stay there, but like being out of debt in 7 to 8 years, that's amazing versus staying there for 30.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So we talk about all these subjects here on the Ramsey Show, but we also are traveling, doing live events this fall and this coming spring, which we are so excited about. So how we cover relationships, career, money, anything and everything here on the Ramsey Show. We also cover those subjects on the road at the SMART conference. So here in a couple of weeks, we have our biggest event. It'll be close to 6,000 people in Dallas, Texas. So it'll be all the Ramsey personalities, Dave Ramsey, Dr. John Deloney, Ken Coleman, Christina Ellis here to my right, George Camel, and myself, Rachel Cruz. So make sure to get your passes at RamseySolutions.com/events to get your tickets. It is October 22nd in Dallas. So make sure to see us there. And thank you to everyone in the booth. And thank you, America, for listening. We'll be back. Hey, it's Rachel Cruz, co-host on The Ramsey Show. If you want to do your debt-free scream live on the show, visit RamseySolutions.com/debt-free scream. We'd love for you to come to Nashville and tell Dave your story. That's RamseySolutions.com/debt-free scream. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studios. It's the Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I am Ramsey, a personality, Rachel Cruz, co-hosting the show today with Ramsey personality and best-selling author Christina Ellis. And so we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. And we're talking about, your relationships, your life, your money. And Christina and I are here. I have 3 little ones at home. She has 2. So we talked about taking calls from you parents out there. If you have childcare questions or concerns when it comes to money and the budget, we can talk all through that. That balance of being a mom and working, what does that look like in seasons of life? Anything and everything related to the little children.
Yes, especially for those of you who are in the thick of it like us.
Yes, that's
we were
right.
Just talking about childcare and babysitters and just all of it on the break, just for our own personal lives. So we'd love to talk about it with you here on air.
Kids getting their tonsils out, the whole thing. We're experiencing it all here in our houses. So give us a call at 888-825-5225. All right, starting us off this hour, we have Mike in Las Vegas. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you as well, Mike. Thanks for calling.
Appreciate it. No, thank you guys for taking my call. So, longtime listener, pleasure to be here. And basically, without getting too lost in the weeds, my question is, I'm on the verge of receiving a inheritance that I was listed as a beneficiary for, which will come out to about $40,000 in total. I was in a bit of a financial rut a couple years ago that I worked myself out of. And so I currently, I guess the crux of the question is how to best allocate that money. Currently working full time. I have about $10,000 left in student loans. I've brought it down from about $50,000 to $10,000. I have about $8,000 left on a car payment or a car loan. No credit card debt. I rent, so there's no mortgage. And I am currently in school working towards a master's degree in computer science, and that's going to be about another $8,000 left that I have to pay for the entirety of this first year into year 2. And so those are kind of some of the bigger ticket items I'm looking at, and just wanted to see what your thoughts were on how to best kind of attack these different remaining debts and other kind of things and where to kind of allocate those funds.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Mike, great job working your way from $50,000 of student loans down to 10. Well done.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what a gift when it comes to this inheritance. Was it someone that you were close to that passed recently?
When I was younger, much closer to was my aunt, and she passed earlier in the year, and so I, along with other family members, was listed as a beneficiary, and so it was just, one of those things. I'd never really been through that process before, and so I'm trying to just understand, okay, where can I use this, wisely insofar as the allocation is concerned.
Yeah, well, I'm so sorry for her passing and your loss. But what a beautiful legacy though that she left, and that you're able to use this money not just to go and yacht around the Mediterranean and spend it all, but to really use it to benefit your life and to get you in a better situation financially. So I think it's a great question, and I always appreciate that. Well, because we talk about legacy here so often, and when you can use it for something so great for you and even your future family, I think it's just a beautiful picture. So I'm thankful you called.
Yeah, and because of the work you've already done in paying off those other student loans, you're really going to be able to knock out potentially all your debt with this, which would be even more beneficial with the legacy. It's like you'll have something really beautiful and concrete to cross the finish line with this inheritance.
Definitely.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's one of the bigger things, is really kind of knocking that debt out, which I could do currently just with my salary. I'm working towards that. But with the one of the kind of questions I had, and I know I've heard Dave talk about this on the show, but the big kind of X factor I was hoping you guys could touch on, and I know what he said, which is whether this remaining $10,000, which I qualify for, that student loan forgiveness thing that may or may not come through, and you can't, ever bet on that. But if that does come through, I, how do I factor that in?
Yeah, totally. Well, so if I woke up in your shoes tomorrow, Mike, and I had this $40,000, I would go ahead and pay off the $10K student loan, pay off the car, take $8,000 from that and keep it for the rest of your masters that you said you need. And that leaves you $14,000 left. And that's a great, depending on your expenses, emergency fund. So you could be well on your way just to baby steps 4, 5, and 6. Well beyond that, which is amazing with this money. So with the student loan forgiveness, I wouldn't wait on it. If it does actually go through, which is a big question if it will, obviously, if it does though, they will refund you the money if you want that. So if you pay it off now, you can still apply for a refund and still get that. So if that's something you wanted to do, you could still get that money if you decide to go that route.
Yeah, that kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You can kind of get that debt wiped out straight away and then also get it back if that ends up being a thing. And I mean, we should find out pretty soon. They've said literally at the beginning of October, the application should be out. So we're all kind of waiting on pins and needles in this space, kind of going, okay, is this going to happen? When's it going to happen? How's it going to look? So, I mean, potentially in the next month, we should have some pretty concrete info. So maybe if you want to wait a month, that wouldn't be the worst thing just to see if this actually goes through, but also just paying it off now and getting that refund could give you that peace of mind and you could be into the next step.
Because there's something to Mike, and people got mad at me when I said this on the show a few weeks ago, but it's just the truth for me. I'm like, there's something proactive that you've already been doing, Mike. You've already paid off $50,000. There's something proactive about life. And when people really win, they have this mindset that they don't wait on someone else to take care of them. They just do it. They just do it. And you're handed $40,000, a beautiful gift. So I'm like, do something proactive with it. And so for me, I'm like, man, that same motivation and that same, proactiveness that got you here, Mike, could still propel you forward. And again, if it all goes through and in 6 months you apply for the refund, you get the $10K back or whatever it is, then good for you. That's awesome. Then you can apply that to investing or maybe a down payment on a mortgage. But I would just hate to keep waiting and be in that mindset. And it's almost that more passive approach than proactive approach. So I think that, I would use this and go right down that list of car, student loan, $8K set aside for grad school. Mm-hmm. And then you still got 14 left to use as an emergency fund. So I think that you're in a incredible position to do some incredible moves right now financially.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So great. Thanks, Mike, for calling. This is The Ramsey Show.
I say it all the time. If you're a business owner and you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And when markets are shifting, it's even more important. You've got to know where you stand so you make your next move the right move. And you don't have to be in the dark here. Over 31,000 businesses, including my team at Ramsey, know their numbers because they use NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, planning, budgeting, and inventory so you can manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Having everything in one place has saved my team hours each week since we made the switch to NetSuite. NetSuite is a game changer. So head on over to netsuite.com/Ramsey to get a product tour today. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Up next, we have Molly in Boise, Idaho. Hey, Molly, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. How can we help?
So we are California transplants. We're one of those.
Oh, yes. We know you, Molly. Yeah. We know you all too well. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So we're building a house here in Idaho. We signed our contract about a year ago. We got locked into our interest rate at 3.875 when it goes from construction to mortgage. However, our lock is going to expire 1 month before the house is done.
Oh, no.
Like pain.
Oh.
And we're now being quoted a rate at 7.5%.
Oh, gosh.
Which is, again, more pain.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It definitely knocks out that 25% household income level for our mortgage. So we've been looking into other options. This option makes me cringe a bit, being a Ramsey girl, but we were suggested to look into a 5-year interest-only ARM just to see what happens within the next few years and decide if interest rates go down, then refi to a traditional mortgage or sell the house then.
Okay. Molly,
tell me this.
How much?
Sell the house.
Yeah. How much do you guys bring home a month?
Roughly $10,000.
Okay. And what is your mortgage payment currently on the construction loan?
With the 3.7.
Currently, we're just. It would have been $2,900 a month.
Oh, it would have, yes. And then what will it be now?
About 43.
Oof.
Yeah. And more bonus, we are expecting our first baby in 3 weeks.
Oh,
so I have wonderful pregnancy brain on top of it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you and your husband do for a living?
I work for a company that sells microshares and racehorses.
Okay.
It's very exciting. And my husband works in fly fishing.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Because I'm just trying to see at all of this movement of the 10 grand a month that you guys bring home, if there's going to be any, if you see any upwardness in that dollar amount when it comes to your careers and saying, okay, here in the next maybe 2-3 years, do you see a significant change in that income at all?
There's potential for it. The company that I work for purchased my old company, so I got quite a good stock option in that. So there's money there, and then there's also, I have upward mobility that I can move and make more money. But I don't see it being so significant to where that percentage would become 25.
No, I know.
Have you had conversations with what have your conversations with the builder looked like? Just in terms of timeline and kind of what their reasoning is for the timeline being a bit longer. What's kind of their feedback on all this?
COVID. to sum it all up. All their excuses are supply chains, COVID, it slowed us down. They were supposed to have it done in 6 months. It's now going to be done in over a year. So it's just like, one of those things.
Whenever have you talked to them about this timeline and when it expires, about like if there's any chance they could get it done a month earlier? What's kind of their thoughts on that? Is it just like a hard no?
It's a hard no, unfortunately. Like to get it to where it is, where it's only a month longer, was them moving it up as much as they possibly could.
I'm also wondering, like, is there any chance that they could like offer an incentive? Because obviously they don't want to lose you at this point. Like, you're already under contract for this house. They want to sell this house. You know, other people are feeling the pain of interest rates changing. Is there any sort of incentive of like buying down the rate or something they could offer you to kind of help this out? Like if they could buy it down from 7.5 to 5%, is that a possibility that you've explored at this point?
I have not explored it. I'll definitely ask them about it. I have a feeling it's not going to fly. The way that their contract is written is very much covering their butt, no matter what happens. So,
but unfortunately, like they're not going to
Yeah.
be covered if they lose you as a buyer. Like that's going to be a loss for them as well. So I just wonder, from a negotiation perspective, if you can kind of just sit down with them. It's going to be a little bit nerve wracking because you're emotionally invested. I can hear it in your voice. It's scary to think about losing your house, but I don't know whether, it's better for you to have the conversation or your husband, but go in with a little bit of hardball of like, hey, these delays, we are not responsible for these delays. Like we could potentially end up losing this house and have to walk away. That'll be a loss for both of us. So what can we do now? What can you offer us? How can you help us make this situation work out?
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I'm sorry you're in the situation, though. That's hard, especially with a baby coming. Being moms, that last month is so vulnerable, and you just want to nest and be comfortable. So my heart goes out to you.
I mean, one very positive thing is we have an insane amount of equity in this house. Like since we've been building it to now, like. Just to give you some numbers, we're in for $675, and a house down the street that's 600 square feet less than ours, 2 bedrooms less, just sold for 1.1.
Oh, wow.
So we are looking really good in that area.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you did have to turn around and sell it, that was going to be my question. So you're going to almost doubled, which is amazing. And I know you probably don't want to go through the whole process of building again or something, but that does give you the options to actually let this home or your future home be a blessing. Because Molly, I don't want you to get an arm for a mortgage, the adjustable rate mortgage. It's just, that is a gamble. I would not recommend that. I mean, and then, and then you moving in with a new baby, you guys making 10 grand and almost half of it going right back out into this mortgage payment. This house, what was supposed to be a blessing and a wonderful thing and a gift and an exciting dream, is going to end up being a nightmare, and it's going to be stressful. You're going to be frustrated that you don't have more margin in your budget to do stuff. I mean, it's going to pull so much where you don't have the margin that you could if the numbers look different. And so at that point, there's where a house is not worth it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that specific house in a scenario like that. So I'm trying to think of other options for you, whether it's what Christina said or, and 7.5, that feels like a high interest rate too. I mean, I know rates are going up, but even if it was closer to that 5, and I don't know if you can go shop that or look at different options when it comes to that. I mean, I would do as much research, turn over as many rocks as possible before you make that decision. But if it gets down to it and that this is still the final situation, then like you said, the silver lining is you're going to have some incredible equity to be able to go and do something else. Are you guys currently renting, or do you own the home that you're in right now?
We are renting a 1-bedroom Airbnb. So it's getting very cozy here with the baby.
Yeah. So sweet. That's great.
And 2 dogs.
That's great. I would probably, which is a heartbreak, but look to see, what else is on the market and what else you guys could do. Do you guys have any other consumer debt?
No, we are baby steps 3, 4, 5.
Awesome.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, you're great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and with that option of having that amazing equity, if the option ends up being that it's going to be best to sell the home and you've kind of worked yourself through the emotions of this may be a thing, we may have to end up getting the home, then selling it and taking out this equity. I think that could give you even more confidence in the negotiations. Like if you do go to the builder and you're like, hey, this is where we're at. Like if you end up knowing you're going to keep the house and sell it anyways, like just giving you a little bit more confidence in that negotiation of saying like, hey, what can we work out? And even potentially shopping different lenders, talking to different lenders. You locked in with these people a while back, but maybe there's someone else who can offer a different rate. Maybe your lender can offer a
that's what I was thinking, Molly. I would go talk and get 3 different options on the table just to give you peace of mind that you're making the right decision. When it's a one-track thing and this is my only option, this is all we have, that never gives you options, and I just love options. So go search that out before anything. But I'm sorry, Molly, but congratulations on the new baby. Oh, it's gonna be wonderful. Newborn phase is hard, but it's great. So thanks for calling.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
We know a lot of you are planning on moving soon, and I've got great news. So our new studio sponsor, Pods Moving and Storage, wants to help one of you move for free. That's right. So just to get a quote at Pods, so get a quote at pods.com/Ramsey between October 3rd and October 14th to enter to win. And it's really just that simple. And one of you listening right now will get a free move or a free storage rental. That's up to a $5,000 value. So look, Pods just makes moving easier. It has flexibility that you need, the control you want, and the customer service that you deserve. If you're looking for a company that will help you move on your terms, Pods is the only Ramsey Trusted moving provider out there. So go to pods.com/Ramsey and enter to win a free moving or storage rental today. That's pods.com/Ramsey. So Christina, as we are 2 moms with little ones, my oldest is in 2nd grade, so she's in full-time school, public school, and that's so great. It feels great. It feels great. You're like, wow, that's so nice. Our second will go to kindergarten next year, and then Charles, he has 2 more years. So I feel like we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of just kids being in full-time school.
That's
5 days a week, which is great. But we've been in that season for 7 years now of me working kind of on and off depending on the season and how much travel I have. And you being a working mom now, when you have little ones at home, there has to be someone there if you don't have a spouse that is staying home. And so for a lot of dual income families, which is a majority of Americans, a lot of Americans are a dual income family, you're having to look at options for childcare, and it is so expensive. We feel the pain of looking at the budget and knowing what it costs, and it's a real factor. And already the margins are so slim in life, because of inflation and everything we're dealing with in the economy, but also just the reality of the stats that we know of the personal finance state of a lot of people in this country, of just living paycheck to paycheck with consumer debt, with wages not going as high as they were expecting. I mean, you bundle it all together, and it can feel very stressful. And you've pulled some stats, Christina, from this week of a survey, a study that came out from care.com.
Yeah, there's the 2022 Cost of Care survey. It reveals that the cost of childcare is higher for families in 2022. 51% of parents say they spend more than 20% of their household income on childcare, and 72% of parents report spending 10% or more. And they also say that the quality of childcare continues to be tough for parents to find. In fact, 43% of parents say it's harder to find childcare over the past year since the pandemic. And parents continue to struggle to pay for childcare. 59% are more concerned about childcare costs now than a year prior, which is driving significant changes such as taking a second job, reducing hours at work, changing jobs, and leaving the workforce entirely. So it's such an important thing to talk about, because I think a lot of people feel like they're struggling in this alone. They feel kind of overwhelmed and just kind of trying to trudge through it. But I mean, obviously we want to give hope and encouragement. We've been there. I mean, for our family personally, I have a 1 and 4-year-old. We've tried so many different forms of childcare, from Parents' Day Out programs to full-time childcare to having a nanny. It's a lot to kind of process. And I think it's so important to just bring these conversations to light, because in my field, I've been talking about college for years and paying for college. And I see so many families stressing out about paying for college. And it's crazy to see the studies. The average cost of childcare per year for preschool is similar to the cost of in-state tuition at a public university.
Yeah, which is wild.
It's wild.
Okay, what's the average public university right now, tuition?
It's just under $10,000.
Just under $10,000 a year. And that's what we're seeing with childcare happening, which is,
So if you're feeling that pull, that's a real pull. Like if you're feeling that stress and that anxiety, that is a real thing to talk about and discuss, and to be super strategic and intentional with.
That's right. And just like anything else in the budget, looking to see, okay, where are the ways that we can cut if we can? What are the different options out there that we may have to plug into different than we had to 3-4 years ago, because life has changed, and depending on your job, your financial situation, this may be an area in your budget where you say, okay, what if we look at some different options that actually may be able to save us what we're paying now, which possibly could help. So there's a lot of different options out there for families.
Yeah, there's a lot of different options. I was telling Rachel on the break that even as an entrepreneur for so many years before I came to Ramsey, my husband and I tried some non-traditional options. For example, I would wake up for a season at 4 a.m. and work till 9, and that, until my son woke up, and then my husband got off at 3 and he would take him, and then I'd go back to work. And I know it wasn't ideal, but it saved us a lot of money, and it allowed us to have a lot of time with our son, which was great and what we wanted in that season of life. And then we've tried full-time care at other times. So it is definitely situation dependent. And I think it's good to kind of explore different options. Some people have family nearby. Some people have, friends that maybe do a nanny share. There's just so many different options versus immediately signing up for that expensive daycare that's like around the block from you.
For sure. Yeah, the nanny share thing is huge. I know a few friends that do this, and it is helpful if you're able to split, because you're able to go a third, right, of the cost of what you would normally pay if you can get 2 other families with you, if it is something like that.
And sometimes it's more convenient. Like for some people, they're looking at a 15-20 minute commute to put their kid in a certain program, versus a nanny share might be with your neighbors, where all you have to do is like walk across the street to take your child to share the nanny with, your neighbors across the street.
Yeah. And then there gets to be a point too, Christina, we've talked to women on this show too, that after paying for childcare, or even the commute from where they're working, if they're working outside the home, to somewhere else, to this, that they just say, gosh, it's easier for me just to go part-time, and that I work 2 days a week, and take that cut because of what we're saving in childcare and in commute and gas, all of it. So it is so dependent per family situations and everything. But it's a huge part of people's budget and both of our budgets that we see when it comes to being a mom and working. And so, it can be stressful.
Yeah. And then also it's just important for people to explore different options that can like help with those costs. Some employers now are offering benefits for childcare. And so that could be a good conversation if you're looking into a new job. If you have a job and your benefits are pretty generous, see if that's available. And if it's not, are they willing to negotiate that into your package? Because, every little bit helps. If you can get an extra $5,000 to $10,000 a year to help with that, then that's amazing. And also talk to your HR department. Some employers offer dependent care accounts, which then you can pay for your daycare in pre-tax dollars, which is obviously going to be a great savings. So just being really intentional to see what options are out there, what could possibly, what am I not thinking about? Are there any options outside of the box that could really make our lives easier and help our budgets?
Yeah, for sure. And just to remember too that, everything is a season. Everything is a season. And that, these costs aren't, unless you move to like private school and you're gonna be paying for education at that point or something. Kids are expensive, but if you're looking at it, or at least I am, I'm like, okay, in my head, the amount of years that they're home and the days I'm working when I need help versus when they're going to be full-time in school, right? Like that's a season. So it's not going to be that forever expense, that daycare, even though that expense can move too if you pay for a private school, elementary school or something. And also, again, I've had friends that they're like, yeah, the pulling back thing is a real thing, just to say, maybe it's childcare expense and other things where they say, okay, for a season, for this 2 years, I'm going to do this a little differently just to kind of ease the burden of that bill, and financially we're going to cut the budget. Or people that say, hey, we're going all in and we're just going to have a tighter budget during the season of having to put our kids in childcare, knowing that that's going to have a little bit of relief here in the next few years.
Yeah, for this season, I have a full-time stay-at-home dad husband, which is the right season for us right now. And like I've said, we've been through, it feels like, all the different options at this point. And for this season, that's what's right for us.
That's right.
And yeah, we're owning it.
Yeah, and I think too, the key word here is options. It's options. Don't just feel like you're stuck in one thing. Explore, ask people, look at different, availabilities, whether it's a nanny share or even a different daycare, anything to kind of give margin to the budget if it's needed. There are options out there, but it can be tough for sure. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I am Rachel Cruz, hosting this hour with Ramsey personality and bestselling author Christina Ellis. And we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, up next we have James in San Francisco. Hey, James, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. How are you guys doing?
Absolutely. We're doing well. Thanks for calling. How can we help?
So my question in a nutshell is whether or not I should take out a loan for a family medical emergency that has just come up. So I've saved up an emergency fund. I don't have any debt. And I'm just working on saving up for a house right now. There's about $50,000 with all of that. And the medical emergency that came up, essentially, my fiance is from another country and she'll be here in a few months. Her mother was just diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so in the medical system there is not very good, the government medical system. Her grandmother had passed away from having cancer and being on that system, and it could take like months for treatment to come through. And so they've been trying to look for options, financing options, loans and things like that. And I essentially have just enough with all of that, my emergency funds and what I've saved so far for a house to pay for the treatment and transplant that's needed.
What kind of cancer is it?
Liver cancer. I'm not really sure what the exact type is.
Okay, where is she from? You said she's from a different country?
Yeah, South America.
Okay.
And is your fiance here in the States, or is she living abroad as well?
She's living abroad as well. She'll be here in a few months. We just got approved for our visa a few weeks ago.
Okay.
What country specifically? Just curious.
Colombia.
Okay. What is their public health care system like?
So it's like I think it's like a free healthcare type of thing. I think the citizens get just like very basic healthcare. And essentially what it is, I know what her grandmother had experienced is they'll pay for the treatments up to a certain expense. And then once they run out of money for that, they basically tell you can only have treatment like every 4 months or something like that.
Have they started into treatments right now? Have they started into that period of provided health care?
They haven't done that provided health care. They've basically what most people do there is they go to private clinics or private hospitals because those are more equivalent to like the treatment you'd get here. It's just very, very expensive. And they've gone through they've started the chemotherapy process, but only one of them. And I'm not sure if they're going to continue it unless we can pay like an initial like $20,000.
When are y'all, you said your fiance, when are y'all planning to get married?
Early next year, as soon as she gets here, basically. We have like 90 days to do it.
How long have you guys been together?
A year and a half.
Okay.
I'm sorry y'all are going through that. That's hard when you're planning a wedding. You're trying to move with your fiance over here. That's just a very heavy burden to try to process through, especially with you not being there. That's a lot to kind of work through.
So have you...
Yeah. And we'll have expenses when she comes, like, moving and getting furniture and getting married and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to save up for that.
For sure. So James, when you have asked the questions about costs and everything when it comes to healthcare down there, what answers are you getting? Is she looking to do a more private clinic type of, healthcare, or is she going to be staying in the public? Like when you say I have $50,000 saved and this can help put her through treatment, is that, have you run the math and you have all the facts and you know what the bills are going to be, everything? Like you're pretty certain on that?
Yeah, pretty certain on it. It's $25,000 first, and then basically the $50,000 will pay for the treatment and transplant, and then there's another $30,000 cost after that, I guess, that pays for the whole thing. But it sounds like that extra cost is just once they get that 50, they kind of will take care of everything, and then I'm assuming that extra is just paying the rest of it sort of as like a loan. But yeah, they're looking at private health care because it sounds like if they go through the system, it might not turn out well, seeing as what happened to her grandmother.
Sure. Well, the only question mark I have in my head is I just don't know what healthcare looks like in Colombia, right? Like if this was in America, we could talk about insurance, we could talk about company, like we could have more of a directed path. So I don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the healthcare system in Colombia. And so it would just be me taking your word that this amount is going to be fine and that there's another $30,000, but they're going to waive that, just like you said. Like I don't understand it all. And so, I mean, what I would say to you, James, is like, this is your money. I want to say you're not obligated to do anything, right? Like if this was your wife, who I know she's about to be, your child, like you, when it comes to those kinds of relationships, like you would go above and beyond, right? And for some people, their parents, extended family, whatever it may be when it comes to medical expenses, and if you have the means to be able to help in, I just don't want to put you in your situation with an unsteady foundation. So I'm thankful that you don't have debt. You feel like you have margin in your budget because you've been able to save up this emergency fund and this is for your house. So if you made this move, and helped her with this and really gifted her that $50,000, I think that's extremely, extremely generous and kind if that's the decision you chose. But also you want to be able to know, okay, for my fiance and I, who's going to be my household, what are we going to have to do? What moves are going to be on pause for us? A lot of things that you guys want to go forward will have to go on pause. So I want you to map that out as well. It's not saying that's a reason not to do it.
Well, and I think while this is a more emotional conversation, there's a lot more at stake to many extents. It's still kind of a similar conversation that we have when an engaged couple has somebody who wants to pay off their fiance's debt. Until y'all are married, there's still a chance that this could not work out. And if this relationship, for some reason, I obviously hope it works out, but if it doesn't work out, you potentially have really impacted your own personal finances for the long term. I think I'd feel a little bit better if it was your wife that was down there, or soon to be wife, and you're getting married in a month, and this is a conversation where you're going to for sure be a unit in the near future. I think it'd be a little bit of a different conversation, but there still is that risk of time, and she's not here. She doesn't have her paperwork done yet. She's not living here in the States yet. So it's just a lot could happen between now and then. And that's such a big amount of money that you've worked really hard to save up that could potentially be gone.
Yeah, there's some caution there, James. I mean, honestly, and if there's any way, and again, I don't know how far, how in decline she is health-wise, but I think that there's a safeguarding for you that if you guys were married, like Christina's saying. So I don't know if there's a way to wait on some of this, or maybe you give a small portion for now and then wait till you guys are married and then you're able together as a couple to send more.
Yeah, or even start in the public healthcare system, use up those benefits. You said that, there's a certain extent to which is provided and then they make you pay. Maybe do those for the time being until you all are married and she's here and things are a little bit more stable.
That's right. So yeah, it's just being really wise about it, James. And again, it's not us being unkind or not generous. Those are some of the red flags that we have, where you are relationally with her, making sure that, you guys are married. Because once you are, then there is a little bit of that different conversation because you've have a vow with another person that you're going to do life together. And if that is okay, we're going to do this for your mother-in-law, again, very generous and very kind, if that's what you all decide, and making sure there's no weird red flags with the healthcare system there, that the money's actually going to her treatment. I mean, all of that, right? There's so many of those questions. But again, if this all works out and you're able to help, I think it's a very generous thing. And money is a tool. That's what we use money in our lives to help enhance our lives and to give to others. And so if this is the route you guys choose, it's very, very generous. Christina, great hour. Thanks to everyone in the booth. Thank you, America. This is The Ramsey Show.
Have you been inspired to make a change with your money? Want to know where to start? Take our 3-minute money quiz to get a plan you can follow. Go to RamseySolutions.com and search for Get Started to get a plan for your money.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods at Moving and Storage Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I am Ramsey personality Rachel Cruz, co-hosting this hour with Ramsey personality and best-selling author Christina Ellis. And we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Anywhere in the country, it's a free call. So we are talking career, relationships, money, anything and everything. So give us a call this hour. Starting us off is Jerry in Ashland, Kentucky. Hey, Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thanks for taking my call. I just recently retired, and my whole working career I tithe on my gross, and I'm accessing my IRA. I just curious, any thoughts about how to do that kind of tithing?
Oh, that's a good question.
There's $500,000 in there. I'm drawing $1,200 a month.
Well, good for you, Jerry. How's that feel to retire and doing it so well?
Yeah, no mortgage or no other debt either.
Good job.
Well done, Jerry. Well done. Well, you, when it comes to the tithe, from a biblical perspective, we teach the 10% off your first fruits, which you did, as you said, through all of that. So where you're at now, on a spiritual side, I'd never like to be legalistic about tithing or giving. I want it to be, I think it's a great practice and one that we teach here at Ramsey, to be giving at least 10% of your income. But I don't consider retirement savings income. But again, not to be legalistic. So if you felt the spirit move that you want to give more and you have the ability to, then I think you absolutely can. I don't feel like you have to be obligated, but with money.
Yeah, I asked because there's growth. Some of it was growth. So
That's right. Yeah. So if you're getting technical in that sense, you're exactly right. But with all money, we always say you just can give it, you can save it, you can spend it. And we need to be doing all three all the time. So I would still be giving and be generous, even into your retirement years, because I think that that's just part of our DNA and how we're made up, that we are created to be givers. And when we're giving and serving, it is part of who we are and how we were created. So I don't want you to miss out on that, but I don't want you to feel tied down, or in a legalistic sense that it has to be 10% of the tithe. But that would be my opinion. Christina, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that if you had tithed, if you hadn't tithed off gross, we would be having a different conversation. But with you tithing off gross throughout building up your retirement savings, I'm right there with you. And I think if you do want to give just out of generosity and out of your heart, you have a lot of freedom to do that right now. But really good job on reaching this spot. I think that's the dream for a lot of people, getting to retirement and just feeling that freedom, no mortgage, nothing holding you back, no debt.
Yeah, and
really awesome.
I saw a stat, Jerry, recently. I think it said less than 20% of Christians tithe in general. So even throwing in the words gross and net, no one's doing it anyway. So the fact that you're giving at any point, I think, is a really great habit to be in. So I don't want you to get tied down to any of that.
Okay, well, that's a good philosophy then. That helps a lot.
Okay, that's great, Jerry. Thanks so much for the call. Giving is it is a part of the money message that I don't hear a lot of people in the financial space really harp on, but this is a big part of why you do the things you do, you guys, with money. This is why you budget and you're intentional. This is why you work your way out of debt. This is why you have a savings, an emergency fund, so you can take care of your own household and make sure if anything happens that you have the ability to pay for it. This is why you save for the future. All of this giving throughout it all, but then the end exclamation point of getting to baby step 7, which means you are investing, everything is paid for, including your mortgage, and you get to build wealth and give generously. So that giving part is so huge, you guys, and to start no matter where you are. So those of you on baby step 1, saving your $1,000, still be giving something. Give a little until you can give a lot, because if you're not giving a little when you have little, it's actually harder to give when you have more. People think, if I just had more money, I would give. And that's not always the case. A lot of money habits are created and then just magnified as you build wealth. So if giving is not a habit that you have even starting out, it's not like it just magically appears one day. It's an exercise, right? It's a strength, a muscle that you grow throughout your life. And the benefit of it's wonderful.
Right. And I think the thing is I love that you hit on the legalistic aspect of it. This is not something that you're doing to check a box to just, sleep better at night because it's something you felt obligated to do. Like, this is something to do out of an abundance of the heart. And you talk in your book about having that abundance mindset and how it can just help so much in so many different areas of life. And so it's just important to, see giving as a joy in the process. We are all about giving, but in giving, you're making a difference in people's lives. You're getting to sow forward. You're making an impact. And that's all very exciting stuff.
Yes.
It's not something to feel heavy and kind of about.
That's right. Well, and what's so, I think, interesting in today's world, we are such a self-centered culture, right? Like, everything is about me, my happiness, my job, what I look like, what I want. If I'm happy, it's all about me. And you live your life like that for a long period of time. And the truth is, I'm like, you end up being a very self-centered person. Like, that's the product of when you just look at yourself and that's it. And so when you give, you move on that aspect of being selfish to selfless, and you actually bring your eyes up and look at other people and see other people, hear their stories, know what's going on in the world, being able to use money as a tool to help with those things, whether it's a nonprofit or a ministry or an individual that you're helping.
Well, I think it's even going to make you better in your own job, because it's like if you have your eyes up and you're seeing people, a lot of jobs, like what you're doing is serving other people. So it's like you already have that mindset of like, I'm looking around, I'm not so self-focused that I'm like wanting to, that I'm not just looking at myself, I'm looking at other people and saying, in my career, in my job, how can I provide more value? How can I serve others? How can I show up for other people in a way that eventually generates income for you, but it's really out of the abundance of the heart. It's out of wanting to do a good job for other people.
Yes. And in the career, and then I'm like, and in your marriage, when you're selfless, you're like, you're a much better spouse when you're like, hey, what do you need in this? What can I, when you serve, when there is a servant's heart in that, or a parent, right? In your parenting, or in a friendship, when, like it's unbelievable, just that selflessness, and where it can start with the thing that we grip tight the most, which is our money. And if you could open your hands and allow giving. And again, you guys, I know some of you starting out, you're like, are you kidding me? I'm living paycheck to paycheck. We can barely make our bills. I would even encourage you to cut something just to be able to give.
That's good.
Just cut the Hulu subscription and and buy 2 coffees for someone this week. Like even just small things, but you start that practice, and I'm like, it changes your heart. It changes your outlook in life. I really believe that. And I think as a Christian, we were created in God's image, and He is a giver. And so our DNA and who we are, we're created to be that. And when you live that out, it changes your life. So spiritually or not, if you're someone walking in faith or not, I still encourage you, be giving something. Give a little until you can give a lot. So thanks, Jerry, for that original call of the segment. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm Ramsey personality Rachel Cruz, hosting with Christina Ellis this hour. Going to the phones, we have Kelsey in Cincinnati. Hey, Kelsey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Rachel. Hi, Christina. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. How can we help?
Okay, well, let me sum it up really simply here. My mother is spending so much money. Our business is in debt, and I don't know what to do about that.
Okay.
Also, we had sold a part of our business to a gentleman who is a family friend, and now he's coming back to us saying that he wants to walk away from the deal. And I don't know what to do.
Can you unpack that a little bit? What did this deal look like? What does walking away look like?
Sure. So we were under a lease for 5 years at a location, and it was a retail store offering product. The gentleman came to us for a year wanting to buy the store. He didn't have the whole lump sum money that we were asking for up front. So what our sublease with him was that we would walk for a year with a certain portion given each month, and then at the end of 1 year, he gave us the rest in like a balloon lump. January would have been the time for him to bring us back the rest of the money. Now he's telling us his final month is November, and he has to walk away. But he would potentially like to come back in maybe 6 months, but he's not sure.
Oh, my gosh. Kelsey, were you guys looking to sell?
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 retail locations and our manufacturing wholesale side. That's 2 different businesses in and of itself for one family.
Yeah.
So we can't maintain all of this. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's a lot. What does the contract look like with this family friend?
So it was a sublease through us for right now until he paid off the full portion. And it was just that he paid us a certain amount each month, and then at the end of 1 year, to give him time to get a loan to buy the business entirely, he would give us the rest of the balloon lump.
What kind of obligation do you have to him?
To him, we don't have anything with the person that we're leasing the property through. It was a 5-year lease. We could terminate the lease with a penalty of 6 months worth of rent. The only problem is our company doesn't even have that amount to give to walk away from all of this.
Yeah.
Because there's no money.
Okay, so how much did he have left that he should have paid?
It was approximately 60-some thousand.
60,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And was there a contract or was this a handshake?
It was a contract.
Okay, so you have legal documentation that he owes you guys $60,000.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, Kelsey, at this point, I mean, he's in a contractual relationship with you all that he owes you $60,000, and now he's not giving it to you. So with the terms of everything in the contract, I mean, that's in my head. I'm like, that's where a lawsuit comes into play. And I know he's a family friend, but at this point, like, he's not doing what he said he was going to do. And almost thank God for a contract that you have something legally to back it up for you guys, because for a lot of people, they do a handshake and there is no paperwork. There is no legal documentation or evidence. But in your case, I mean, like, have you guys thought about going the lawsuit route and suing him for this money?
I really don't want to do that because, for one, by the time we get done paying the fees and everything, it's not going to be worth very much. Also, the reason why he's backing away isn't because he doesn't enjoy the business. It's because it was either that or his home. So that's why he wanted a 6-month break, give us back everything, and then possibly come back to it when he's in a more financially stable situation.
And he probably won't. So if we just pretended for a second that you guys just pretend y'all went the lawsuit route. He doesn't have $60,000 to give, except for a house.
Mm-hmm.
That you'd force him in that. Well, man.
Tell us a little bit more about your mom. You said your mom's spending a lot of money, and that's not really sustainable.
Right. So I just found out a situation today that really, I sent her a text and I said, I'm very disappointed. And I'll unpack it. So my family was raised on her side of borrow from Paul to pay Peter mentality. She didn't want that for us kids. I'm currently going through Financial Peace University. I'm on baby step 3A for my family. But for my mom and dad, they're not. They did just recently pay off all their personal credit cards, but now because the business doesn't have enough money in its bank account, all the business credit cards are maxed out. She has used personal credit cards to buy business inventory, and today I saw an email thread with another vendor of ours, and she was getting ready to make another purchase with one of her personal cards. And I asked her, does Dad know that you're doing this? You guys just paid off your cards.
Yeah.
So that's why we're having a family emergency meeting tonight, because 2 days ago, we just discussed how everyone needs to know what's going on with the financial situation and what's being bought.
What does this business look like? So you're in business with your parents and with your mom specifically?
Yes. With my mom specifically, and then all of my siblings, and we do have employees as well.
And are you guys all owners of the company and it's split 5 ways, or how does that work?
Every child gets a portion of the business when they turn 21. As of right now, 2 siblings qualify. The other 2 will eventually.
Okay.
In this business, you said it's got a lot of debt. Is it profitable at this point? Like, what do the finances look like on this business?
As of right now, it has the potential to be very profitable. I'm more of a black and white person. I like numbers. I enjoy that side of it. So it has the potential, but there's so much debt that's outstanding. There's no profit. We owe money to family members and friends and credit cards and loans, and it's just overwhelming.
So I'm just going to talk to you directly, not for the whole family business, and talk as if I were in your shoes. If I were in your shoes, I'd be trying to get out of this business. Like, your mom created this business. She said she's adding the kids in as like a gift, as some sort of thing that's supposed to be a great thing. But this doesn't sound great. This sounds like a burden for you. This is stressful. It's not structured well. Your mom is spending like crazy. And if I were in your shoes, I'd be running for the hills, just trying to see what I could do to get my family out of it and set us up for success. Because at this point, like, this is a sinking ship.
Well, and what's hard, Kelsey, is the person that is, making these bad financial moves within the business, your mom, you can't control her. And so until you guys have a set of whatever it is, bylaws, values that you guys run the company by and say, this is what we're doing. And if we don't do this, here's the boundary. Here are the consequences of what's going to happen beyond that. Because like Christina's right, I'm not going to sit in this mess and just sit here because I'm a family member. No, Kelsey, you're an adult with your own family that you're trying to take care of. Mm-hmm. And so this has not become a gift. It's become a nightmare. And so for your mom's sake, I almost at this family meeting tonight would say, Mom, I can't control what you do with money. So on the personal side, I applaud that you and Dad got out of debt. But whatever you guys do on the personal side of your life, I can encourage you. If you want my opinion, I can give it to you, but I can't control that. Now, when it comes to the business, we now have our business hats on. We're no longer family members in that's we are co-owners in a business, and it's someone who is a co-owner is misrepresenting the business and are doing things financially that we don't agree. If you guys all agree that this is not okay. And so setting those and treating her, even though I know she owned it, but like, if you have me as part of the owner, you're going to hear my opinion. And unless we do this because we're drowning and it's not working, I'm going to have to set that boundary. And so if it's on that, that's on the business side. And then when it comes to the family, friends, you either have to eat it or you gotta sue them. Today's question from Blinds.com. Blinds.com, 100% satisfaction guarantee means even if you mismeasure or pick the wrong color, they will remake your blinds for free. So get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promo codes they run every month, you'll save even more. Use promo code Ramsey to get the best deal.
Today's question comes from Haley in Virginia. My boyfriend has talked about proposing sometime in the coming months. I know I want to marry him, but there is one thing holding me back from committing completely. He has a ton of debt. He's a full-time college student at a private university and has around $30,000 in debt already. He doesn't have a job, so he is just continuing to accrue the debt and not pay on it. I'm a full-time college student, but I also work a full-time job. I have no debt at all, and it is very concerning to me that I would be taking in all of his debt if I marry him now. How do we navigate this? Wow. Well, I think very first thing is to have that conversation, because the fact that you're thinking about marriage with this guy and he's continuing to accrue debt, that's an issue. It'd be one thing if he had debt and you guys are on the same page and you're going to tackle it when you're married. But the fact that he has it and doesn't seem concerned about it, he doesn't really want to work to pay it off, and he's just kind of continuing to take it on. I think you guys have to have a real level setting conversation to go, okay, here's how I view money. This is my goal for the future. I don't want to have debt. I'm working really hard now while a full-time student so that I can have, freedom in the future and won't be stressed by money. If we're going to enter into this agreement together, if we're going to be married, I don't want to live my life that way.
Yeah. Yeah. The dollar amount, honestly, Haley, concerns me less because I wouldn't say not to marry someone because they have debt. I mean, yeah, that doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is the values conversation, what you're saying, Christina. Like, if he says, oh, yeah, I don't care about having debt and I'm going to, have credit card debt, I'll probably take out car loans, all that, then your values are off at that point. And that's the conversation you guys need to have and get even deeper to the why, like, why don't you want to have debt? What's your why? Is it because, of how you grew up and you're fearful? Is it because you've experienced not having margin before and it stresses you out? Is it because, you want this feeling of security? Like, what's your why for living debt free? And I want to know his why. If he does, I don't want to put this on him, but I'm assuming, he's somewhat okay with debt, or he's a college, or he's 20 years old and he's a normal college student in the world and doesn't know there's another way. But if you guys talk about it and he still is like, no, I don't care because I want to enjoy my life and I want to, whatever the thing is that he's okay living in that, then again, that's a values conversation that you guys have to have. And the truth is that money fights and money problems is one of the leading causes of divorce in America today. I had a friend and I remember he was like, yeah, if the number one reason people died in your neighborhood was because of bears, people would be reading about bears. They'd be freaked out about bears. There'd be meetings about bears. Everyone would be talking about bears. And it's like, how do we avoid the bears? How do we get them away? The strategies? I mean, right? You'd be freaked out. And so when you hear one of the leading causes of divorce, when you're entering a marriage, you should be like, okay, what do we do about this? It should be an on fire. So I feel that urgency from you, Haley, which I'm so thankful to hear that, because it is a big deal, but also it's less about the dollar amount of, if Winston Cruz back in the day had $200,000 in debt, but he said, never again, we're not doing it, I would still marry him and we'd have a road to climb to get out together as a married couple, because I'd still marry him. I love him,
But I think it's important, like, if he says, so you have this values conversation and he says, okay, I'm willing to change. I didn't realize that taking out student loans wasn't something I should do. I want to get on board, have a great financial future. Like, I think after that, before you get married, it's good to see evidence of change. Like, that it's not just a conversation where he's like, yeah, and then the next semester he takes out another $15,000 in debt, like, especially at this phase you're in where there's like a very obvious outcome in terms of, is he going to take on more debt or not? Pay attention to that. Because, if he really wants to marry you and he's excited to marry you, we don't want him to just say he's compromising or, say something so that, you get across, the marriage line and then he doesn't actually change. So I think you have an opportunity to also see, once you have that conversation, how he proceeds.
Yep. Some evidence in it. Yeah, but great question, Haley. All right, up next, we have Julia in Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Yeah, how can we help?
All right. So I just came across you, Rachel, and the way I came across is I was looking for ways of getting or to pay for the college tuition for my last born. And then shortly after, I think it was O'Neill and Dave Ramsey, then you popped on and then you started talking about the 7 baby steps. So I wanted to know how that works, and if my husband is like absolutely not on board at all, what can I do about that? And basically, to give you a little bit of background, is we're both truck drivers, and during this last 2 weeks that I've been listening every night, because I have all the time in the world while I'm driving, I get to listen to you guys and get a lot of positive resources out of your show. I actually happened to pass by Tennessee, and I was like, oh my gosh, this was fine, because all this time we've been driving, I never knew where you are.
Yeah, that's great.
I heard about you. But
so Juliet, we have a heart. There we are. Okay, we have a heart out here in about 2 minutes. So let me get to your question. So your question mostly is about the baby steps and how to get your spouse on board. Okay, so where are you financially, Juliet? How much debt do you guys have?
So we have a business. The trucking business is a small company. So it's between the house and the business, it's at $1 million, a little bit over $1 million.
Okay, let's separate those numbers. So just give me your house. How much do you owe on your house?
It's 500.
500. Okay.
500,000.
And do you guys have any credit card debt?
Yes.
Okay, how much is that?
So the crazy thing is we had just paid it off a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got it all back because of the business. So I don't have the numbers, but last year we paid off the credit cards, and it was about 117 between the both of us.
117,000. Is that for the business, Juliet?
No, that's for the credit cards.
For the credit cards.
For personal.
Personal. Okay. Yes. And you don't know how much current credit card debt you have, though. Not how much you paid off, but currently.
Currently, I would say, let me see, me alone, I have like about 100, because I have like about 15 credit cards. So me alone, about $130,000
in credit card debt, and that's just consumer debt.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Car loans.
We paid off the cars.
Okay.
And then I have a student loan of $75,000.
75. Okay. How much do you guys make a year?
Yeah. Let me see. Each truck. So we had 3 trucks, but we're selling it slowly.
How much do you guys how much do you and your husband bring in every month for your own income?
Between 30 to 40,000
a month
before before everything is taken out.
Oh wow. Okay. You guys are doing great.
Yeah,
awesome.
but I don't see the money.
No, you don't, because you have a crap ton of debt, Juliet. So here's the deal. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to list out all of your debts. Some of it's a little foggy, so you're going to find hard evidence, and even if it's multiple credit cards, list them all out separately. Okay, Juliet. Everything is separate. List out all of your debts, not including your mortgage, smallest to largest. You're going to pay minimum payments on everything, and you're going to start attacking the smallest debt first. And hold on the line. Austin's going to pick up. We're going to give you and your husband Financial Peace University for a year. It's going to come with Every Dollar, which is our budgeting app. And I want you and your husband to sit down. And if you can force them, you just tell them, you've got to sit down here with me and watch that first video, okay? That's going to explain the nuts and bolts of exactly what you're about to walk through. And you guys can clean this up. You have an incredible income, Juliet. Your life could look drastically different in 6 months. And if you guys put the hard work in and you sacrifice, you can get this cleaned up. Thanks for calling. Our scripture of the day comes from Jeremiah 17:7. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. Success is most often achieved by those who don't know that failure is inevitable. Coco Chanel. Thank you, gentlemen in the booth. Did y'all pull a quote for me? Not that I have Chanel, but fashion. I appreciate that. Thanks, Austin. All right, you guys, if you love this show, if it's something you listen to on a regular basis, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, to podcast. Hit the follow button there. Leave a review. Share it with your friends, with your family. Honestly, word of mouth is one of the best ways for this show to grow and for us to really hit the toxic money culture hard. The more people we can get on board that are free from debt, that are in control of their money, that's when the world starts to change. When we're not dependent on all these toxic financial industries. And
it's fun to do this in community. Like, it's fun to do this with other people. Like, if your dinner table conversations with your friends can be about, how you all are paying off debt and building wealth. Like, those are just such wonderful, stimulating conversations.
Yes, which most people don't have because people don't talk about money. But you know what? Money is not a shameful topic. You can talk about it and encourage people, because it can be a very stressful, guilt-ridden subject in life. And when you even can give encouragement to people on what you're doing and your story and your journey, it's just helpful. It really is. All right. So yesterday, Christina, we launched, which I'm so excited about, a brand new Rachel Cruz Slim wallet. So we have the Rachel Cruz wallet that has all the envelopes. And so this is a smaller version of that. It has one envelope, but multiple card slots that can hold your cards from your license and Costco and debit card, all those things. And it is genuine leather. It comes in 3 colors, black, camel, and champagne. And we produced it with our friends at Join. They're an incredible organization out of India, where they provide fair trade jobs to really vulnerable communities and to help them be employed. So they're an amazing organization. So we're so thankful to partner with them. So yeah, if you guys if you've been doing a budget for a while and the cash envelope systems, if you're kind of graduating out of it, because eventually you kind of get to the point that you're like, yeah, I don't need that hard accountability of actual cash. This is another great option to still have one envelope that you can always have cash with, but also just the convenience of just carrying your cards. And
it's so pretty. I just saw it yesterday. Oh, it's lovely.
Thank you. Yeah. So check out the Rachel Cruz Slim Wallet, available now for $39. But if you go to RamseySolutions.com, you can check out all the colors, everything we have going on there. So make sure to check it out. All right. Up next, we have Jordan in California. Hey, Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rachel. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help?
So I'm trying to get a mortgage. I'm 100% debt-free, and I haven't had a credit history. Preschool Mortgage is not able to do the underwriting because I don't have a rental history or any housing history because I've been living with my parents.
Okay.
So I should say we've been living with my parents.
Okay.
So I'm wondering where to go next.
Of what to do there. Do you guys have a good down payment saved up?
Yeah, we have $400,000.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah. So a couple of options, Jordan. You can either go try other mortgage brokers, other lenders. You can even talk to like a local credit union, some other people that do still manual underwriting. But I'm going to say the rental history is a big one to have. And so that's why we do recommend people renting for a short period of time just to have that. Did they say a specific timeline of how much they would need to see?
12 months.
A full year.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll do even just 6 months and you rent just to get that fact on paper so you don't have to go, build up a credit score, which I would never encourage you to do. So that would be an option that you could look at other lenders, ask around, get different options. But again, I think that rental history is an important factor to the manual underwriting process.
Do you have like an urgency right now? Or are you trying to move out in a certain timeline, or kind of what's your forecast for when you want to do this?
No, we just, now that my wife's done with school, we're now ready to buy. Now that she's working full time, we're just in a position that, we want to buy. So I'm just trying to get all my ducks in a row.
And y'all have done a great job. That's a great down payment. Especially,
is that just from working?
Yeah. So we had a house like 3 years ago that we sold.
Okay.
So that's what half of that is.
Gotcha. So. And have you been living with your parents the rest of the 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you guys been married?
11 years.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
That's awesome. And are you pretty settled in the city you're in? You said your wife just graduated. Are you all going to stay there for her job?
Yeah, we're going to stay. So all my clients are around here, and we're not moving anywhere soon. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Jordan, for me, I'm not going in debt for any reason. I'm not going to go play the credit card game to get the credit score and all of that. So either it's going to be getting a mortgage from a different broker, and so shop around, ask around. I would talk to 3-4 different people and see if there were other means that you can show, maybe even when you guys had your first house, if you can pull the mortgage, the payments from that to have proof for that. But again, I mean, you guys have an incredible nest egg to buy an incredible house. Again, there's not a rush. I know you want to, but if the only thing it came down to was like, I need 12 months of rental, then I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna go rent somewhere for a little bit, get the history we need, and then save up, keep saving. I mean, it's just giving you more time to save even more, and then go in and buy the home. So I'm not playing that game personally. So I'm not going to advise you to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I mean, you guys are doing so well with that down payment. The extra year of savings is great. I mean, I don't know what kind of price range you're looking at, but you're pretty close to being able to buy some level of house debt free, which that would be outstanding.
Incredible. Okay, we're going to go to this last call. We have about 2 minutes, but is it Raul in Savannah?
Hey, yes, how are you?
Good. How are you? How can we help?
Good, thank you. All right, so my mom recently came into some money, and I'm wanting to kind of help her manage it and see what the wisest move for her would be.
Okay, how much money?
She came $77,000.
$77,000?
Yes.
Okay. And how old is your mom?
She's 63 years old.
Okay.
She's wanting to retire next year.
How much does she have in retirement?
This is it.
Oh, she just has the $77,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she wants to. Is she going to be able? Has she run the numbers out? Has she talked to a financial advisor to say, okay, if I put this in, she's not going to have enough to retire off of just that, right?
Right. I mean, she's right. Yeah. I mean, she's going to get $1,000 check per month through Social Security.
Okay.
She pays $500 in rent right now.
Okay.
And she's a hairstylist on the side.
Okay.
She has her cosmetology.
How much does she make now?
Right now, I would say with her job in cosmetology, she's making like $2,500 a month.
A month. Okay.
And she'll be making, I guess, $1,500.
Does she have a mortgage now?
No, she rents.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said that. I apologize. Yep, you did say that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I hate to say it with these numbers, though, she's not going to be in a position probably to retire at this point. She's going to either have to get her income up and keep putting money away. But I would recommend you guys go look at a SmartVestor Pro on Dave Ramsey or RamseySolutions.com and sit down and run the numbers and just look to see, okay, how much does she need to have in her nest egg in order, because she may not need a lot to live off of, but she needs some, and it's probably going to, and she's 62, so she still could have 20, 30 years, still here. So you want to make sure that there's enough, and it doesn't seem like there's enough right this moment. Thanks for the call. Thanks to everyone in the booth. Thank you, Christina, for co-hosting today.
So fun.
This has been The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Rachel Cruz, co-host on The Ramsey Show. If you want to do your debt-free scream live on the show, visit RamseySolutions.com/debt-free scream. We'd love for you to come to Nashville and tell Dave your story. That's RamseySolutions.com/debt-free scream.